Welcome to another episode of Awaken TV with Glenn. The main focus of today's episode is, does God care who I sleep with? In today's culture, sexual freedom is seen as one of the greatest goods in Western society. Who we choose to sleep with is seen as a fundamental, supreme human right, and anyone that tries to put a constraint on the choices that we make is seen as an existential threat. Especially in today's society, sex is viewed purely through the lens of recreation while ignoring consummation and procreation. We are told that sex is purely a physical act. However, if that were true, why does it leave so many emotional and psychological scars when somebody gets sexually violated? For instance, a woman getting physically punched in the face is not the same as her getting sexually assaulted. Sex has become a commodity, a transaction, a means by which we satisfy our bodily appetite, similarly to how we eat food when we are hungry, like a Thanksgiving meal. Now, imagine if every day were Thanksgiving. It's funny because scripture says that there is nothing really new under the sun. All news is old news happening to new people. In 1 Corinthians 6, the Corinthians in the first century would use this same argument to justify their sexual appetite. They will say, food is for the stomach and stomach is for the food. So just as you eat when you are hungry, you have sex when you are horny. What's the big deal after all? It is all biological. If you do not make a fuss about food, why do you make a big fuss about sex? For some of us, for many of us, sex has become the means by which we quench the thirst of our souls. Because you know what? Some of y'all are really thirsty. But God is the only being that's big enough to satisfy the thirst in our souls. To replace God with sexual fulfillment would be the equivalent of drinking salt water every day, which makes you even more thirsty. And that is why God's standard for everyone is holy sexuality, celibacy in singleness, and faithfulness in marriage between a man and a woman. Now, this kind of thinking in today's culture may seem dangerous and oppressive. So, why does God care what I do in the bedroom with someone else? God cares about the people we sleep with because God deeply cares about the people who are sleeping together because we are worthy of His care. God also cares because sex was His idea, not ours. He cares because misusing sex can cause profound hurt and damage. And in fact, that care is not just limited to how we should be using sex, but He makes room for forgiveness and healing whenever we mess up, especially when it comes to sex. If the Me Too movement, abortions, adultery, pedophilia, sex trafficking, STDs, orphans, pornography have shown us anything, is that our sexuality matters profoundly, and a violation of our sexuality leads to greater emotional and psychological scars that are worse than the physical scars that we receive. Jesus is showing that our sexuality is more precious than we may have realized, and His teachings on sexuality is meant for our protection. Finally, God cares who we sleep with because God cares who we spend eternity with. He wants us to know Him so that we can experience His ultimate love forever. God is not primarily concerned on what you do or don't do with your genitals, even though He has significant things to say about it. But His primary concern is, who will you give your heart to? Who will you look to experience the deepest form of love and intimacy? So that's all for today's episode. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment on this video, and hit the notification bell for all the good stuff on Awaken TV.